This is a continuation of Chapter 8, and the first major announcement I have for you is I posted an extra credit assignment to Brightspace. It's worth 12 points. 12 whole points. And those get added to like a test, so that would take you from like an 88 to like 100.
Okay. I probably got 100 on the test.
I haven't graded the test. I will have them graded for Wednesday. But the extra credit is going to be on Punnett squares and genetics, which is what we're going to do today, which is why I'm taping and going to be taking pictures of the board for the people that are not here. How many of you have done Punnett squares? How many of you hate Punnett squares? Sometimes they're easy, sometimes they are less easy. So the first one that we're going to look at is on the board up here. In this example, I have a tall plant, tall represented by a blue capital T, and a short plant represented by a lowercase red t. If I take a true breeding plant, meaning that it has two of the same alleles, I have one that has two tall alleles and one that has two short alleles. If I breed them together, all of the offspring are going to have a tall and a short allele. So whenever you are looking at Punnett squares, each parent is going to be able to give you one allele for each trait. Oh, sorry, two alleles for each trait. They may in fact be the same if the parent is homozygous for that trait, or if they're heterozygous, they're going to be different. So if we take two of these offspring, and we're going to breed them. They are heterozygotes. What alleles can this parent give to its offspring? Because we have a capital T and a lowercase t because they're a heterozygote. How about the next one? What alleles can it give? Same. And then these two are going to have offspring. When you set up your square, it's going to look something like this. What's going to go across the top? So you're going to take the alleles from one of the parents and put them at the top. How about alongside? Because you're going to take them from another parent and put them there. So your Punnett square is going to look like this. Anyone know how we fill in the squares in the middle?
You just split the middle square, you take the square above it and next to it, so it'd be big T, big T.
I can grab the pen. So I'm going to take a big T in this square. Well, okay, apparently I cannot do that. And another big T. Yeah, these are really sloppy. Got that. What about this square next to it?
Little T, big T, or big T, big T.
We always are going to default to put the big T first. And so forth. I'm not going to draw the rest of them on there because apparently I can't use a pen function. But if I put them on the board up here, I have a big T, a big T in each of those. This gets a little t, and then a little t, and a little t. What is our ratio of tall plants to short plants? In this, what is the ratio going to be? Take a guess.
Yeah, 3 to 1.
3 to 1. Yes. Yes. Because how many of them have a tall gene? So we're going to have 3 tall to 1 short. Because only one of them has 2 little t's. Because the little t's are a recessive gene. In order to be short, you have to have 2 of them. If you have a tall gene at any point, you're in fact going to be tall if you are a pea plant. Does this make sense? Yes.
So do you not do anything with the ones on the outside when you're doing the ratios?
Well, we just looked to see if they have a tall,
Okay.
because all we were looking for in that was a phenotype. So we're looking at the phenotypes. But what if we did a genotype ratio? It's going to be different. We'd then be worried about how many are big T, big T, little t, or little t, little t. How many are 2 big T's? 1. How many have 2 different T's? 2. And then how many are 2 little T's?
Oh, wait.
1. Some of you are really confused at this point in time.
Just what was like the last like things? Like there's only 1, 2 big T's, and then there's only 1 with 2 of each, 1 of each.
So we have 1 with 2 big T's.
Yeah.
We have 2
Oh, okay.
heterozygotes.
So do not. Okay, I saw.
And then 1
the bottom.
Oh, I didn't write in the numbers. Does that make more sense?
That makes more sense.
But I'm only ever going to ask you for a ratio of phenotypes. Because when we're worried about things, we're going to be worried about the phenotypes. I have to remember to take a picture of the board. But if you get the theory, you're going to get it again. And it's going to make actually, believe it or not, more sense with this. So what letters do we see up on the board right now? T's and G's. So what do you think big T still is going to stand for?
Tall.
And how about little t? What about the G, big G? Mm-hmm. How about the little g? It's actually yellow.
I was gonna say, yes. Will they tell us that on like a test or something?
Actually, on a test, I'm not going to give you letters usually. I'm going to say you have a tall green plant that's dominant. We're going to get there.
Okay.
So the example for this would be that I have a plant. Oh man, wrong color. I have 2 plants that are both heterozygotes. They are tall and green. So I have 2 heterozygotes that are tall and green. As soon as you see that I have heterozygotes, you know they have to have both traits. And as soon as I tell you that they are tall and green, you know what is dominant. Because if I tell you that something is a heterozygote, and then I tell you its traits, I have told you what the dominant traits are. Because the heterozygote is always going to look at, or it's going to display the dominant traits. Because in order to see a recessive trait, you can have no dominance. So I have 2 of these. Is anyone confused as to how we got to the letters that are on the screen?
Can it be any other color, like besides yellow? Can you make it a color, or does it have to be?
For peas, it is green versus yellow for pea pod color.
Okay.
Well, I would probably tell you
Okay.
the recessive traits are.
So we wouldn't have to like guess the other color. Okay. That's kind of what we want.
Nope. We're going to do this example, then we're going to do one where I'm just going to give you the problem and you guys are going to figure it out.
Fun.
So we know we have 2 heterozygotes, they're tall and green. They look like this guy. When you have 2 traits, you're going to be giving 4 different sets of gametes away, as opposed to just 2. Each time you make a gamete, it has to have 1 of each trait. So you're not going to have one that's green, yellow, and one that's tall, short. They're going to be height with color. So tell me what my first gamete is going to be that I can make from this.
Wait, are we doing this? It's like the first box. It's like T, like big T, big T, big G, big G. Is that right?
That's the first one. What's the next one?
Big T, little g.
I'm going to write these up, and then I'm going to show it to you in a different way without letters at all.
What about the little t?
And then would it be
Then the little t.
little t, big G?
Big G.
Yep. Little t, no, big, oh shit. Big, little t, little g. Yeah.
Okay. So if I have, I don't know. We're going to try this in a different way. 1, 2, A, and B. Yes,
Why don't you do a big T and a little t?
we will get there. We're going to use this in order to figure that out.
Okay.
Okay, so if we have two traits, and our traits are numbers and letters. What are our two numbers?
1, 2.
1 and 2. And what are our letters?
And 3.
And if this is an organism that has to have letters and numbers as traits, just like your peas have to have height and color, could a parent give two numbers to an offspring? No, because then they wouldn't have any letters. Could they give two letters? No, because then it wouldn't have any numbers. So you're always going to match like that. Is this making any sense? So that number is always going to have to go with a letter and vice versa. Let me erase the black lines and try this a different way. I don't know if those black lines make any more sense. So you're going to have to match the different letters with each other. You're never going to have two of the same letter. Just like you can't have two numbers or two letters in this example. Let me get rid of the numbers and the letters and see if that makes any sense. So I have a plant that is a heterozygote, so it's tall and short, and it has a green and a yellow. If you can understand this, you can do all the rest of Punnett squares. This is the part where everybody who screws up Punnett squares makes all the mistakes. If you are a pea plant, do you want your children to have a height gene? Okay, let's look at this a different way. How many of you want your children someday to have eyeballs, hair, stomachs, all sorts of things? We want them to have all of the parts. So you want to be sure you give them all of your half of the genes. What would happen if you gave your child all of the genes for hair and none for eyeballs? Would that be problematic?
Yes.
So we're going to avoid those situations. It is, in reality, much more complex than that as to how you get eyeballs, but it works for this example. So then, is this plant going to want to give all of its offspring height genes and color genes? So it's going to give any combination it can of height and color. You can never have two T's together or two G's together.
Does the order matter?
Not at all. I always default to doing the capital letters first and then the lowercase letters, but you could do it in any order. The way that makes the most sense to me is that I have numbered these in my head 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I know my combinations are 1, 3, 1, 4, 2, 3, and 2, 4.
Why doesn't the big G go before the little T?
Because you could do it that way.
Because
You could if you really want to. I don't, because I always do one trait and then the next, just so that I make clear in my head that I have one of each trait. But you could reverse them. So you have to have one height gene and one color gene for all of the gametes. So I have given you 2 heterozygote plants that are tall and green. You've told me that these are their gametes. Now we're going to cross them. Because we are dealing with now 2 sets of traits, we have a dihybrid cross. The dihybrid cross is going to not give us a 3-to-1 ratio. It's going to give us an entirely different ratio.
Can you go over like the crosses, like the just like that.
Why it's called a dihybrid cross?
Or isn't there another one that you said?
Monohybrid?
Yeah.
So mono is 1, di is 2, and hybrid just means that you are combining things. That a hybrid is going to be 1/2 of each parent. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, I think I was thinking about something else.
Okay. That's fine. So do we know how we got to what is on the screen and what is on the board here? So I told you that we have 2 heterozygotes that are tall and green, and we're going to breed them together. That means that you're going to have 4 gametes coming from each parent. You line the gametes up on the outside, and then we're going to put them on, then we're going to fill in the inside squares. Does anyone want to come up and attempt to fill in the inside squares? Come on.
Yeah, go. That's the last one.
That's aggressive.
You have to buy a new one. They'll find you.
Doesn't matter what color they use. Can I just use one color?
You should black.
Okay. That works.
Wow.
Wait,
What do you think so far?
Would there be 2?
There should be 2 of each
So that
trait
makes
in the center squares.
Wait,
Okay,
wait. What do you mean, wait?
Like
Ethan.
like 2 big T's, 2 big G's.
Yep.
Okay, then somebody else.
Wait, 2
You tried. That's good. Ethan might have confused you. Come on up, Carly. You think you know
I'm
it?
gonna try it, yeah.
No.
Now we're both confused.
Sorry,
now I'm confused.
Yeah.
Wait, so does the order matter if it's like 2 big T's, 2? What is it, black?
That's all you want.
So it could be T, T, G, G, or T.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna do that. My handwriting stinks, sorry.
It's really good.
Excuse me, Amanda?
Wait. Oh, so 4 letters on that?
You're gonna get 4 letters.
Oh.
You're gonna get the letters from the top and the letters from the side.
Oh no.
Does it matter what one you do first?
It does not. It does not matter which ones you put first.
I thought, okay.
Yeah, but I think we put 2 in one.
So it, in fact, is correct.
Job, Carly.
Thanks. I'm the whole thing.
Sure.
I like these markers. No, I just
So she's just filling in by using the letters on the side and the letters on the top. And you can mix them up in whichever order you want to put them in as long as you get all of the letters there. Generally, I put the T's together and the G's together, but you do not have to. There are students that are successful in doing this at any point.
I was gonna do that, but then I decided not to.
No, because it makes what you're doing makes sense. Very good. Okay. How many of these plants are tall and green? I'm going to use blue and green to mark the tall green ones. So this one is tall and green because it has a capital T and a big G. What about this one? Is it tall and green? Would it be what?
Before 12
No.
or 12.
Is this one tall and green?
Yes.
How about the next one?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
How about this one?
Yeah.
How about the one next to it?
No.
What is the one next to it?
Oh.
So tall and yellow is blue with purple. How about the one next to it?
Yes.
Back to tall and green. And the one next to it?
No.
What is the one next to it?
Tall and yellow.
Okay, what about this guy?
Yep.
Tall and green?
Yes.
And the next one?
Tall and green.
Tall and green. I know you were really bored of tall and green at this point in time. What about the next one?
Short and green.
Short and green. So we're going to switch to red and green. And next?
Short and green.
Short and green again. First one in the last row? Tall and green.
Good job, ladies.
How about the next one?
Tall and yellow.
Tall and yellow. The next?
Short and yellow.
And how about the last one?
Short and yellow.
How many are tall and green?
Nine.
How many are short and green?
4.
4 is not correct.
In the middle.
Wait, is it? Wait, tall and wait, what did you say?
Tall and green.
If there's a big T and a big G.
Wait.
Tall and green.
Sorry. Short and green. Short and green. How many are short and green?
Is short red?
Yes.
Oh, 3.
How many are tall and yellow?
2.
No.
3.
How many are short and green? No. Short and yellow.
1.
What is our ratio now?
For tall and green?
In total. 9 to 3 to 3 to 1.
Good job.
How many of you want a shortcut to knowing the answer to this ratio? Okay. So our shortcut is that, so we have 9 to 3 to 3 to 1. This 9 is going to be both dominant traits. This 3 is going to be 1 dominant, 1 recessive. That 3 is going to be 1 dominant, 1 recessive. And the 1 is going to be both recessive. Whenever you breed 2 heterozygotes together, you're going to get this 9 to 3 to 3 to 1 ratio that follows that.
Can you put as many things as you want in the box? Or like, is it only it's like a certain amount of things?
You mean could we use like 10 traits?
Yeah.
Sure could. Don't do it.
Just says.
We're not going to go more than 2 traits.
Oh, cool.
Will you always have only one recessive?
If you are breeding 2 heterozygotes together, you will end up with only 1 that is recessive for both. Let's try a different trait, shall we? Or a different set of traits. Am I okay to erase this? Take a picture. How many of you feel like you're sort of understanding this now? How many of you feel like you're still totally lost? No one feels totally lost. This is good. Does anyone volunteer to come up to the board? You're allowed to be wrong.
I got it.
Okay.
Are we doing the same thing?
Sort of. We can do a different example. So, what traits should we give him this time? Should we do flower color as one of them? And seed shape? I'm going to start the black marker thing for a moment. So we have flower color. What are the colors? Does anyone remember? Somebody said purple. And what's the other one?
Green. Oh no.
White.
Yeah, it was.
And purple is dominant. White is recessive. And we're going to do seed shape. Round or wrinkled. Does anyone remember which one is dominant?
Round is dominant.
And wrinkled is recessive. So I give you 2 plants. They are both heterozygotes. And they have purple, round seeds.
So I just have to do purple round.
They're heterozygotes.
Do I have to make one of those charts?
You're going to have to make one of those charts. First, we got to figure out what the parents are.
Yes, you did.
So we have 2 plants. They are both heterozygotes. What are their genotypes going to be? What does that mean? Heterozygotes. They're going to have 2 different traits. So for flower color, they're going to have both, and for seed shape, they're going to have both. So what are their genotypes? Do you want to sit down?
Yeah.
Ethan, do it. Oh God. Ethan, do it.
Would be big P, big
Go.
P, big R, kind of that or no?
Yes, those would be the dominant traits.
Okay.
So purple is going to be a big P. What's white going to be?
Little P, yep.
Okay, so big P, little p. And what is wrinkled going to be? Or
It's
round?
gonna be little R.
So
big
wrinkled's
R,
gonna,
little R.
okay, so that is our genotype of our parent.
You guys.
They can see it. They're good. So now you're going to have to make the gametes. You got to make 4 of them. What are they going to be?
You mix them up. 1 and 1, 1, 1, 1 and 1.
What?
You have to make gametes. Each gamete has to have a P and an R.
You can draw your arrows.
I don't even. Oh, so be a big P little R.
Draw them. Or write them.
Make a chart. Make a chart. You can do it. You can do it.
Guys.
Oh my word.
Oh.
Okay. Is he right so far, everybody?
Better be. What? Say no.
Carly said it.
He is. You're right so far.
Here or there?
I
have to do 2 sets, right?
Yeah, we
Or
will.
4
So
sets
you can
of cards?
relate. You can erase what's in the top.
This is a nightmare.
I'm gonna say your marker for just a minute.
Go for it.
So if we knew they were heterozygotes, we knew that it was that we have the letters on the top. You're right. We are gonna have to. Nope, that one's wrong. Good luck making this into 4 sections.
Sorry.
All yours.
What's the definition of a gamete?
A gamete is like a sperm or an egg. Or a pollen.
I gotta go.
I have another line above here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I don't think that we're going to get much further than how to make Punnett squares today. But I think that's okay. If we learn Punnett squares, we've accomplished a lot. And if any of you are feeling really intimidated by this, that one is wrong, by the way, that you just made.
You do the same thing on top.
You do the same thing at the top and the bottom. Here. You could probably walk around campus and find biology and biochem majors and go, so, do you want to teach me Punnett squares? And they're just going to, like, shudder. Don't think that just because you don't understand this well that you would make a horrible scientist. There are lots of science majors that absolutely do not like Punnett squares either. Then there's a few of them that absolutely love them. So if you're like, oh, this is so not for me, it's okay.
Is how you write them on the top and the side matter? I know that.
No, as long as you have all of the gametes from one parent and all from the other, that's all that matters. They could be in a totally different order. You could have started with small p, small r.
Okay.
While he's doing this, does anyone want to tell me how many purple round we're going to have?
None.
How many white round are we going to have?
3.
How many round purple, or sorry, wrinkled purple are we going to have?
3.
And how many white wrinkled?
1. Good job. Are those always going to be the numbers?
We're going to do another example next where they're not going to be the numbers. They're always going to be the numbers if it's 2 heterozygotes. But we're going to take this a step further and complicate it. The extra credit is not due until a week from Monday because I didn't think we were going to get through enough today for you to answer all of it. And we probably won't. We definitely won't. But you'll be able to start it. Very good. Very good. Okay, are we ready to do something slightly more complicated? have two plants. One plant is a heterozygote, and it is purple and round. But even in these traits, if I just told you it was a heterozygote, you would have to know it was purple and round, right? Because purple is dominant and round is dominant, so a heterozygote is going to have to be purple and round. And I make my little p and my little w in like cursive so that they make sense to me as separate letters. And the other plant that you were given is white wrinkled. So what's the genotype of a white wrinkled plant going to be?
Little p, little w, little w.
And we're going to breed them together. What type of gametes can a purple round heterozygote give me? Well, it can give me purple. Oh, wait a minute. These are wrong. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have used W's. I should have used R's. Because round is dominant. So purple round, or purple wrinkled, or white round. Or white wrinkled is what you can get from a heterozygote plant. From a homozygote recessive, they can only give you one type of gamete, can't they? It doesn't matter what combination of little p, little r I put together, it's always going to be 4 little p's, little r's. Does that make any sense? So this is going to be a much easier chart to draw, isn't it? As soon as I finish drawing it, I'm going to explain exactly what I did. So I took a heterozygote. That can give me any of those 4 combinations of gametes. But if I have a homozygote recessive, it can only give me one combination of gametes. It can only give me white recessive gametes because those are the only genes it has. So then instead of having to do the whole big chart, it was much simpler.
Why couldn't you do that with the last one?
Because in the last one we did, both parents could give 4 different types of gametes. Because they were both this heterozygote. Now I have one heterozygote and one homozygote recessive.
Oh, you're doing 2 separate.
2 different plants that we crossed this time.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Earlobes, very fast. Feel your earlobes. Are they attached to the side of your head or are they separate? How many of you have a separate earlobe? How many have an attached earlobe? An attached earlobe is recessive. It means both of your parents, well, your parents could have had either. But if you have an unattached, it means at least one of your parents had an unattached earlobe. So, Claire, yours are attached? Ethan, yours are attached?
Mine? They're not, no, they're right. They're like...
So if Claire married and had babies with a guy whose earlobes were attached, their children would all have attached earlobes. Because if you have attached earlobes, your babies are always going to get that recessive trait. The last thing I'm going to really basically mention is called a test cross. You do a test cross when you're not sure what you have. So let's say Ethan decided he was going to go out and buy you all a pea plant. And they all had purple flowers, and you were wondering, well, does it only have a purple gene, or does it also have a white flower gene? You would then buy yourself a white pea plant, cross them, and see what the offspring were. If all of the offspring were purple, you would know it had 2 purple traits. If half were purple and half were white, you would know that it had a white trait. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's a test cross, which is what this is. And this then shows how a test cross works. This also shows how a test cross works. And next time we are going to talk about Mendel's law and humans, and it's going to get a little bit more complicated because not everything is normal. If you work ahead on the extra credit, one of the things that is not normal is the bald gene or the colorblind gene. They're on an X chromosome. So men only get 1 trait for baldness or colorblindness, whereas women get 2. You too. Thanks, you too.
Excuse me. Dr. You forgot to like write that instances.
I will write it.
Do you think you could just write a 0?
Oh.
For some reason.
You can.
Yeah. Okay. He didn't like put anything for some reason.
Do you have any grades? I'm just
know.
gonna put a line.
Yeah, that's fine.
You can tell your coach like lecture and lab are part of the same grade.
Okay.
In case he asks.
Yeah.
But he knows that.
Yeah, he like trusts me, so it'll be fine.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm sorry you have to grade that test.
Well, you never know.
Yeah, I mean.
I'm hoping you all did better than you think.
Yeah, I mean I studied for this stuff, but I don't know.